Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man.
For I am the man himself.
What is going on, guys, and how y'all doing on this Wednesday evening? This is the Club with the Man 1993. We're back here for some more baseball news. We have a lot of transactions to go through, so some of them I broke up into groups, just to kind of like separate them out a little bit, and somewhat the significance also of these news pieces as well. So I decided to just break it up a little bit. This video is going to talk about some, I want to say minor and not as huge news, but pieces of news that are like not quite as groundbreaking as some of like the big signings we've had so far this offseason, but you know, decently significant. The first couple is going to be a couple of players whose options were declined and became free agents. There were several big names, but I only picked two to talk about because they're both a little bit more noteworthy. The other ones I'm going to wait until a contract is actually signed, basically, for the most part. Because these two, there's a chance there may not be a contract for it in the near future. And most of the rest of them are just like small deals, basically. Some players who are like later in their career, like the ones that are not quite as groundbreaking as some of the other ones that we have so far. We will talk about that in a separate video. So this is more so of like the minor transactions that have happened so far this offseason for Major League Baseball. So the first, we're going to start off with two players whose club's options were declined and as of now are still free agents. The first one is Joey Votto. Joey Votto, which I still remember when he signed his 12-year deal, who I believe who's now like 39 or 40 years old, one of the two, had a club option for 2024 that the Cincinnati Reds did indeed decline, and he is currently a free agent with plans to play in 2024, which look, my honest opinion here is, and I'll be honest too, as a Pirate fan, of course, I think Joey Votto was definitely a great player. He kind of rubs me the wrong way as a person at times. But if I was him, I would hang it up. Only because, not saying he has nothing to offer for other teams, but he is a rare player who gets to spend his entire career with one team. I just feel like it would just be weird if he tried to continue on playing with a totally different team just for the heck of it. Like, what you would rather like start and end with a team you truly made your full legacy with. And he did it with the Reds. Like, is it really going to be special if he went anywhere else? Like, I think I heard the Blue Jays, I think, might be interested in signing him, is what I recently heard. But I think he should just retire, in my opinion. Again, not because, you know, a personal feelings aside of him as a human being, but like I said, not saying he has nothing left to offer, but it's just, again, it's just not going to feel special if he finishes his career somewhere else. It's like when John Smoltz decided to test free agency and spend his last season with the Red Sox and Cardinals. Like, why not just finish it up with the Braves, you know? I didn't get that. But he, of course, is a free agent still, and he still plans to play in 2024. Next video, can't pronounce things. The second person I want to talk about whose club option was declined is White Sox closer Liam Hendriks. which sucks because Liam Hendriks, who's 35 years old, by the way, just had a season where he miraculously beat non-Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer, whatever heck it was called. And obviously, it's inspirational. And then I think it was in August, he had Tommy John surgery. Ouch! That just blew. That just totally blew to hear that. I feel so bad for him. So he had a club option, for this coming season. And I think the only reason why the White Sox declined it is because he's going to be out for most, if not all, of 2024. I read somewhere today where he's aiming to maybe make a late July return, return around the trade deadline, which is possible. But are the White Sox really going to be contending in 2024? I don't think so. I mean, even though the division is weak, the American League Central is definitely one of the weakest divisions for sure. But also, if he's definitely not healthy, then they're just, they'd rather give his spot to someone else who is healthy. So he could get picked up by a team to help him, towards the end of the season as a contender. I mean, he is 35 years old, though, so that age may be a factor in there. If not, then I think most teams are going to look at him as more of an option for 2025 rather than 2024. It's very, very close to tell, but that just sucks. Again, beginning of the year, you get cancer. You beat it, and you have Tommy John. And now you're a free agent. That just blows. I feel so bad for Liam. But I'm pretty sure he will gain some interest. It's just that I just don't know if anybody's going to, capitalize on him now or wait till 2025. We'll have to wait and see later on this year what they do for sure with him. You watch. I'll say this, and then tomorrow wake up and it says, Liam Hendriks signed a new deal. But again, he's hopeful he'll be ready to pitch around the trade deadline. We'll see, though, if that can happen. Moving on to some more. That's the last. I can't talk tonight. That's the last of the players declining their club options. Again, there's a couple others on there, but it's more so guys of I'll wait and see, where they sign with first. Like Cody Bellinger, Tim Anderson, I believe, was another one. I know Javi Baez opted in when he's on his opt-out clause for his contract with the Tigers. I thought it was someone else. I can't remember who it was who kind of was in that situation. But just the two I wanted to mainly brush on real quick is Joey Votto and Liam Hendriks. Like I said, Joey Votto, I still say he should retire. Just so because again, it's not going to feel special if he plays somewhere else at this point. 17 seasons with the Reds, former MVP. Why play somewhere else? At this point, you're not going to leave a legacy anywhere else. You might as well call it if the place you call home no longer needs your services. And again, Liam Hendriks, I just feel so bad for the guy. I really do. But on to some other transactions. The Cincinnati Reds did release former Pirate Kevin Newman from his contract. And believe it or not, today, before I make this video, I was informed that he did sign a minor league deal with the Arizona Diamondbacks with a spring training invite. Again, he is a former Pirate. Kind of got lost in the shuffle when he was traded to the Reds last offseason. And he joined the Reds. But then, of course, he hit 253 in 253 trips to the plate last season. And he eventually got cut short due to an oblique strain. And the Reds released him. And now he signs with the former pennant winners, Diamondbacks. So we'll see, of course, if he gets a fitting spot on the main roster with the Diamondbacks. And I know they have Ketel Marte in there as well, that he could be battling some playing time for as well, of course. But, he's shown at times he could be a nice little spark plug for sure. I liked it with the Pirates. He did briefly follow me on Instagram, actually, but he did then unfollow me. I wondered if someone hacked into his account or something. I don't know. But it was a cool moment for a second. But, hopefully he works out for him in the Diamondbacks. I do wish Kevin Newman the best of luck. Charlie Blackmon with the Colorado Rockies back on September 29th signed a 1-year extension to return for a 14th season in 2024. Blackman, of course, is definitely getting to the tail end of his career, and he's definitely starting to wind down. So, like, it at this point, he doesn't have much really to offer, really. He'll probably continue to work so primarily as the designated hitter for quite the season as well. More so, again, just probably just a move just to keep him around and try to finish his career in Colorado. I don't really, he's in his late 30s. He's probably in the last, pages of his career for sure. So him staying with Colorado, cool with me. Could help the younger talent that they're probably trying to build with the team. They have some other players in there that could be contributors, like Chris Bryant, but he keeps getting hurt, unfortunately, and that's been a big damper on that 7-year contract they signed him to a couple years ago. But yeah, hopefully it's beneficial having him stick around, and like I said, hopefully he finishes off his career with the team he's been for his entire career, the Rockies. So Charlie Blackmon signs a 1-year extension. The Dodgers, before we get to some big moves in the next video and another separate video, they did sign Max Muncy to a 2-year extension, and I believe the deal runs for next season and the following season, and then a club option for 2026. I think Max for sure has been a very valuable player addition for the Dodgers. He was just added randomly on a minor league contract, and then he just found his pop. He's averaged a couple of 35 homer seasons. And he also popped, I think, a career high 36 last year. He does have a lot of, value to the field because he can play pretty much anywhere in the infield. I think he's played first base, second base, and third base. I don't think shortstop, but he definitely can, be valuable at any of the positions. Because he was first base, then he moved over to third base permanently whenever the Dodgers signed Freddie Freeman last season. Again, the batting average for sure has dipped quite a bit, but he still has the power in there. So it's still valuable, and I think he's definitely an experienced player needed for the Dodgers for sure. As of course they still have Freeman locked in at first. They also have Gavin Lux, who's been injured, Miguel Vargas, Michael Busch, and of course Chris Taylor, another veteran as well. The Dodgers have had him for quite a while. So that's good to see that they definitely signed him through the extension. Again, he's definitely a valuable piece to their lineup for sure. And then also speaking of the Dodgers, we had Jason Heyward sign a 1-year extension as well, re-signing a new 1-year, $9 million deal with the Dodgers. And he turned around a decent year. He had 269 with 15 homers and 23 doubles in just 377 trips to the plate. So more of a part-time player still. Again, it's no secret that I've mentioned before, Jason Heyward really hasn't had the career I expected from him. He's definitely one of the players that I'm unfortunately a little disappointed with. I mean, he had his injuries, but he wasn't as dangerous of a player as I thought he was. Especially with his contract with the Cubs, he definitely never really stood out on that Cubs team, if I'm being honest. But, he had a solid, part-time season with the Dodgers this past year. And, obviously, they were saving their money for someone else. We'll talk about him in a totally separate video. But it's, I think he definitely deserved another year with the Dodgers for sure. And I think he's going to be a valuable piece for sure as the Dodgers continue to contend to be one of the best teams in the league. But Jason Heyward gets a new 1-year deal with the Dodgers. So we have that piece of news. Then we have back to the White Sox. We got them signing former Cardinal Paul DeJong on a 1-year deal as well. He, of course, has struggled in recent seasons, though. After an incredible debut with the Cardinals in 2017 when he hit 25 home runs in just 108 games, things has kind of been on the dip ever since. He started to get somewhat back on track through 81 games with the Cardinals. And then, of course, he eventually was flipped to the Blue Jays, which did work out. And then once Bo Bichette came back from an injury, he then went to the Giants as well. He continued to struggle. He hit 184 with the Giants and struck out 32% of his at-bats. Obviously, he is looking to replace Tim Anderson, who obviously had a very down year for the White Sox, but he's now with the free agency. But maybe he'll bounce back with the Giants, who, of course, just have their new manager now, Bob Melvin, that they grabbed over from the Padres after they fired Gabe Kapler. The Giants have had some surprising seasons, especially a couple years ago when they had a 107-win season. So you just never know. And also, too, oh, that's right. Never mind. I'm about to say he's replacing Brandon Crawford, but I'm like, no, wait. Brandon Crawford was a Giant last year. And he's a free agent now, too, by the way. But yeah, he signs with the White Sox. And speaking of Cardinals, we got Lance Lynn returning back to the Cardinals after being away for a while. Signed a 1-year deal with a club option with 2025. It's a homecoming for the 36-year-old who he was with the Cardinals for quite a while, it looks like. And then he had bounced around, reached free agency. I think he still has some valuable as a pitcher as well for the Cardinals in their rotation. I think this is a good deal to bring him back because the Cardinals are rebuilding, so definitely someone that could be used to help build the younger talent as well in the pitching staff. So I think it's a great deal for the Cardinals to grab him in there. The Diamondbacks also upgraded, again, their infield, well, at third base at least, acquiring Mariners third baseman Eugenio Suarez in a trade back on November 22nd. In return, the Mariners received reliever Carlos Vargas and catcher Sevi Valaz, whatever it was called. Suarez, who's a former home run leader, had 2 quality seasons for the most part with the Mariners. Only about 22 homers this past year. He hit like 30 or 31 beforehand, but he's definitely a reliable right-handed bat. There's been times where the batting average has been in and out, but he still seems to have some solid power to provide for any teams. And it's probably a nice upgrade at third base. I'm pretty sure Evan Longoria doesn't have too much time left, in my opinion, or he could be reduced to DH duty as well, landing in Suarez. But, of course, it is the final guaranteed year, of course, of his contract, which was probably why the Mariners did look into trading him as well. And yeah, so definitely a good pickup for the nationally pennant winning Diamondbacks with some experience, and hopefully it works out good for Suarez. So he turns back to the National League. The Mets made a couple of brief signings. They signed former Yankee Luis Severino to a 1-year deal, $13 million. And of course, $2 million in performance bonuses. He'll be turning 30 in April, and it's a wild card on this winter's free agent market. Of course, he once was one of the best pitchers, but he spent the past 5 years either injured or ineffective or both. So it's been a very inconsistent ride there as well. From 2017 to 2018, he made 63 starts, had a 3.18 ERA. And he was basically like up there with pitchers like Max Scherzer, Chris Sale, Jacob deGrom, and Corey Kluber as definitely one of the best in the league. After that 4-year contract he signed prior to the 2019 season, it's just been all health problems down there. He only made 3 starts in the first year of that deal due to shoulder and then Tommy John surgery. Was left off the field for the entire shortened 2020 season. 22, but he was able to make at least 19 starts, have a 3.19 ERA, so showed a little bit of hope. But then, of course, he struggled though this past season. In 89 1/3 innings, he had an awful 6.65 ERA. So he's still staying in New York, just not in the Bronx. He is going to Flushing, and hopefully could maybe provide some surprise results to the Mets starting rotation. As, of course, they took a big dip in 2023. Maybe they come back in 2024. Who the heck knows? Because the Mets have been inconsistent. But speaking of the Mets, they also grabbed former Pirate Kyle Crick on a minor league deal back on December 6th as well, with an invitation to spring training as well. Of course, he does have experience for sure. He's a former Pirate. He was one of the two minor league players acquired in the Andrew McCutchen deal from the Giants when they traded Kutch for some international bonus signings or something, and then they also got Brian Reynolds, and they also grabbed Kyle Crick. Crick does have some late inning experience, but of course he seems to have been back and forth. From 2007 to 2022, he pitched for the Giants and Pirates, has a career 3.56 ERA, but he also does deal with control issues as well, which I believe is why the Pirates, of course, moved on from him. But hey, if he can get the pieces together right, he can definitely be a solid reliever for that Mets bullpen major league level. Speaking of solid relievers, even though he's been back and forth so many teams in his career, Craig Kimbrel, probably a future Hall of Famer as well, signed a 1-year deal with the Baltimore Orioles. It's reported to be $13 million guaranteed, and it'll make $12 million in 2024 with a $1 million buyout on a $13 million option for 2025. Of course, he's been there's definitely looking for a replacement, as Felix Bautista is set to miss the entire 2024 season from Tommy John surgery. Of course, there have been other relievers out there as well they mentioned, but they instead went with Kimbrel. Of course, he has a lengthy track record being one of the most dominating relievers in the game, having 417 career saves since debuting for the Atlanta Braves way back in 2010, though. He's been a little more rocky, but he still comes off as generally solid. Not as dangerous as he used to be, but still pretty solid as well. With the Phillies in 2023, he tossed 69 innings, over 71 appearances, had a 3.25 ERA, and 23 saves and 7 holds. Not too bad, not as dangerous as he used to be, but he can still provide, some a good option in the bullpen. Yeah, maybe he could be the replacement closer for Felix Bautista since he's out. Again, he's obviously experienced enough for it, but we'll see. Maybe he'll get the 500 saves before his career ends. Who knows? But I think he definitely has made a mark and a good possibility for him to be in the Hall of Fame as well. Just saying. But we got that one for Craig Kimbrel. The Boston Red Sox made a trade with the St. Louis Cardinals, acquiring Tyler ONeal, outfielder, and in return they gave up Nick Robertson and Victor Santos heading to St. Louis. Tyler ONeal, who's 29 in June, has had a very back and forth career. Of course, his best season so far was in 2021, hitting 34 home runs. And then still hit 286. Some, decent base run with 15 steals. But since then, though, he's been less impressive with injuries, and he just hasn't been able to recover really since. The past couple days, he's been playing just 168 games over the past 2 seasons, hitting 23 home runs and hitting 229 in those 2 seasons. So hopefully, as a fresh coat of paint could help the struggling Red Sox as well, who finished towards the bottom of the division. Well, still, was a decent team, but of course, obviously, with a division as busy as, the American League East as normally is, sometimes it is tough to contend. But he still could be a nice place to kind of bounce back a little bit. We'll wait and see. He definitely was a solid piece for sure for a while for the St. Louis Cardinals. But now he's a Boston Red Sox, and we'll see what happens there. The Royals were quite busy as well. They signed Will Smith, the reliever Will Smith, not the catcher, to a 1-year deal for $5 million guaranteed, and could get another $1 million in incentives. Now, fun fact: the past 3 seasons, I think it is, Will Smith has played on a World Series winning team. So could spark some good luck for the Royals, as he's a very good experienced reliever, but I don't think the Royals are anywhere close to winning the World Series this year, unfortunately. So that streak will probably end. But that is quite incredible. But a nice, reliable addition to their bullpen. But we're not done with the Royals. They also signed Hunter Renfroe to a 2-year deal as well, grabbing him along with Seth Lugo, of course, and Will Smith as well. Renfro has, bounced around quite a bit. Last season he was with the Angels and also was briefly with the Reds, which I didn't know. But of course he was released by the Reds late in the season. But when healthy, he could probably hit right about 250, rack up about 30 homers and whatnot. I think, if he can be consistent, that's another good piece for the Royals to be in there as well. And the Royals also signed former Cardinal Michael Wacha to a 2-year deal as well. Definitely a strong, number 3 starter maybe or whatnot. He's still, solid over the past 2 seasons between the Red Sox and Padres. He's had a combined 3.27 ERA, so he still has great numbers to put up as well. And again, it could be a way to, I would say, see the Royals contend, even though, again, that American League Central is quite weak. They could maybe, have one of those seasons where they're showing improvements and showing signs of things to come. And these pieces like Will Smith, Michael Wacha, Hunter Renfro could be pieces that do help them, be able to contend in a couple of years maybe. So a couple of good pickups there for sure for the Royals. Next one is Matt Carpenter. So Matt Carpenter was recently traded to the Atlanta Braves, but then immediately got released. Apparently, that's kind of been a similar fashion with guys like Marco Gonzalez, Evan White, and Max Stassi, all whom they acquired and then dealt away in salary-driven swaps. But Carpenter, of course, has had a very strange couple seasons as a part-time player. He's 38 years old. In 2022, he had 305 with 15 home runs in just 154 plate appearances. Although last year, though, wasn't quite as good. He hit 176. Still produced some decent amount of walks, but his strikeout rate really spiked. Obviously, of course, he can sign with any major league team now, but his options may be running out as well. I mean, he's had a couple, little surprises in there as a part-time player. But I think he may run out of options, especially if he was traded and then got released. Because I think I heard that they got him, the Braves, but then they were looking to trade him again. But instead decided just to part ways with him. So, strange, but, no harm done. Another veteran, Shelby Miller, who was with the Dodgers recently, signed a 1-year contract back on December 22nd as well. Of course, he has some bonuses depending on how many games he has played with. He plays this coming season, or pitches, whatever you want to call it. He's 33 years old, had a resurgence, and had a 1.71 ERA in 42 innings over 36 innings pitched. I think he was getting some late inning work as well. And he seems to have kind of found this spot in this point in his career as well. So that could be a good piece for the Tigers, who again have A.J. Hinch and are seemingly starting to go a little more all in. And again, they had 76 wins back in 2000 this past season. So again, the division's weak, but they're slowly getting some more and more pieces together. I definitely can see maybe them or the Royals with some of their signings. Maybe pushing a little bit in the second and third slots, but the Guardians are most likely running away with this again. No, wait, that's a lie. Twins. Twins were the ones that had the division last year. So, I don't know. The Guardians haven't really done much so far, but I think we can at least see the Royals and Tigers making a little bit of a push. And probably White Sox finishing last at this point in that division, I would think. And last but not least, Tucker Barnhart signed a minor league deal with the Diamondbacks the other day. Of course, that'd be a nice little experience piece. I believe he's a former Gold Glover with, a nice bat as well. So maybe if he can have some bounce backs, he could be a good piece for the Diamondbacks as well, behind the plate. Again, it's a minor league deal, so he has to earn a spot. And that does it. That's really the only transactions I really wanted to address really quickly. If you guys have any thoughts on these transactions, again, they're like the club the options declined for Joey Votto and Liam Hendriks, or a couple others that I mentioned. Make sure you guys thoughts again down in the comment section below. Any teams think that are benefiting so far from these transactions? Like I said, I think the Royals signed a lot of nice pieces for next year or two to kind of help the club build up. We'll see what happens though with that. Leave thoughts down in the comment section below. And be sure also, as always, to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well at the Club with the Man 93. And you may also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the Club with the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you guys all later. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!